Beneath the flickering fluorescent lights of a neighborhood grocery store, something unthinkable was about to unfold. Something that would shatter the world of a terrified little girl and resurrect the soul of a man society had written off as a demon. The rhythmic beep of checkout scanners echoed through the aisles, mixing with the shuffle of shopping carts and the murmur of ordinary conversations. It was just another Tuesday afternoon, or so everyone thought. Damian Brown walked through those automatic doors like a shadow, bald head gleaming, thick beard bristling, red leather jacket catching every judgmental stare. His arms told stories in ink, dark tattoos crawling from wrist to shoulder, announcing to the world exactly what he was. A Hell's Angel, a man mothers pulled their children away from, a man the world had already judged guilty. But on this ordinary afternoon in this ordinary store, fate had extraordinary plans. If you believe that heroes don't always look like heroes, that courage has no dress code and redemption has no expiration date, then hit that like button, share this story, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because what you're about to witness is how a little girl's desperate hand signal and a broken biker's buried heart collided to create a miracle that nobody saw coming. This is the story of Valerie Hill and Damian Brown, and it will change the way you see the world. Damian pushed his cart down the cereal aisle with the slow, deliberate movements of a man who'd learned to take up as little space as possible. His tattooed hands reached for the store-brand cornflakes, always the cheapest option, always the back of the shelf where he wouldn't accidentally brush against another shopper. He kept his eyes down, his jaw set, his entire posture screaming, "Leave me alone." It was easier that way, safer, for everyone. His mind was already miles down the highway, wind in his face, the rumble of his Harley drowning out the voices that lived in his head. The ones that reminded him of every mistake, every bridge burned, every person he'd let down. Just grab the milk, get out, and ride. That was the plan. Then something moved in his peripheral vision. He turned. At first, all he saw was a little girl, maybe 7, maybe 8, with long brown hair framing a face too pale, too still. She wore a bright blue long-sleeved shirt, strange for the summer heat. Beside her stood a man with a scorpion tattoo coiled around his neck, muscular arms crossed, eyes like chips of ice scanning the aisle with predatory awareness. Then Damian saw it, her hand, rising slowly, trembling, palm open. Fingers spread wide, his breath caught that signal. He'd seen it months ago, scrolling through his phone at 3 in the morning when sleep wouldn't come. A viral video, the signal for help. Designed for victims who couldn't speak, couldn't scream, couldn't escape. Is she? No, maybe she's just. But then he really looked, her lips quivering, red marks circling her wrist, barely visible beneath that long sleeve. Tears pooling in eyes that had seen too much, and the man's grip tightening on her shoulder the moment he noticed Damian staring. Walk away, his survival instinct whispered. You're no hero. What if you're wrong? What if you make it worse? But Valerie's eyes locked onto his, pleading, desperate, drowning. Please see me. Please help me. Something ancient cracked open in Damian's chest, something he thought had died years ago. He set his cart aside with deliberate calm, each movement controlled, purposeful. His boots echoed on the linoleum as he walked toward them. Every step was a choice. Every step brought him closer to a confrontation he might not survive. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said softly, forcing warmth into his gravel voice. "You okay?" The man's body went rigid. "She's fine, we're busy." The voice was sharp, defensive, wrong. Valerie's hand still trembled in that signal, tears now sliding down her cheeks. Damian's instinct screamed one word: danger. Other shoppers passed by, oblivious, checking their lists, comparing prices, living their ordinary lives while a nightmare unfolded 3 feet away. Damian pointed casually behind them. "Sir, I think you dropped your wallet back there." The man's eyes darted backward, just for half a second, pure reflex. Damian dropped to one knee, eye level with Valerie. His voice was urgent but gentle, barely a whisper. "I see you. You're going to be okay, I promise." He stood, locked eyes with the man, and slowly pulled out his phone. The click of the camera was deliberate, loud, unmistakable. "What the hell do you think you're—" Damian's voice dropped to something cold, something that came from the streets he'd survived, the battles he'd fought, the darkness he knew intimately. "Stay right where you are. Police are already on their way." The man's face drained of color. His eyes darted left, right, calculating, realizing, trapped. Exposed, finished. In one violent motion, he shoved Valerie toward Damian and bolted down the aisle. Damian caught her, his massive arms wrapping around her tiny frame, his red leather jacket becoming a shield, a sanctuary, a promise. She sobbed into his chest as his fingers found the emergency alert button on his phone. Within 90 seconds, sirens wailed outside. "I've got you," Damian whispered, his voice breaking. "You're safe now, I've got you." Shoppers stopped mid-reach, staring in confusion as the intimidating biker, the man they'd avoided, judged, feared, became a protective fortress around a crying child. And for the first time in 20 years, Damian Brown felt like something other than a monster. He felt like what he'd always wanted to be. Human. Police burst through the doors, weapons drawn, voices sharp with authority. In the parking lot, the abductor hit the pavement hard, tackled mid-sprint as he reached for a stolen sedan. Officers rushed toward Damian, hands on holsters, cautious, until they saw Valerie clinging to him like he was the only solid thing left in the world. A female officer reached out gently. "Sweetheart, you need to come with." "No, don't take him, he saved me." Valerie's scream cut through the chaos, her small fists gripping Damian's leather jacket tighter. Damian's voice was steady as he explained everything, the signal, the fear in her eyes, the bruises. He showed them the photo. Within minutes, the radio crackled with confirmation. The man's ID came back with warrants, child abduction. Valerie Hill missing for 3 days, taken from a playground 2 towns over. Amber Alert active, family devastated, search parties still combing the woods, and here she was. Saved by a chance encounter and a biker who'd actually been paying attention. In the manager's cramped office, Damian sat beside Valerie. She didn't speak much, just held onto his jacket sleeve with both hands, her lifeline. Something cracked open inside him, years of self-hatred, guilt, shame pouring out through fissures he didn't know existed. For the first time in decades, he felt useful, worthy, human. An officer paused in the doorway. "You know that signal saved her life." Damian looked down at Valerie, her tear-stained face finally peaceful. "No," he said quietly, "she saved mine." Then the door exploded open. Valerie's mother stumbled in, her face a mask of desperate hope and agonizing fear. When she saw her daughter, she collapsed to her knees, wailing a sound so primal it silenced the entire store. "Mama, Mama." Valerie ran into her mother's arms, and the reunion was raw, beautiful, the kind of moment that makes you believe in miracles. Damian turned to slip away quietly. This wasn't his moment. But Valerie broke free and ran back to him. She pulled a small beaded bracelet from her wrist, pink and white, clearly handmade, the kind of craft project treasured in elementary school art classes. "I made this. I want you to have it." She placed it in his massive tattooed hand. It looked impossibly fragile there. "You're my angel, my biker angel." Damian's voice cracked. "No, sweetheart, you're the brave one." He knelt, hugged her one last time, breathing in the innocence he just helped preserve, then walked toward the exit. Outside, the sun was setting, casting golden light across the parking lot. His boots echoed differently now, lighter, purposeful. News crews were arriving, cameras already rolling, but Damian was already on his motorcycle, engine roaring to life. By that evening, headlines broke across every platform. Hell's Angel rescues kidnapped girl using viral safety signal. Social media exploded. Millions of shares. Comments praising his awareness, his courage, his humanity. For Damian, the attention was uncomfortable, almost suffocating. What mattered was the quiet peace settling into his soul like snow on old wounds. He no longer felt like a monster pretending to be a man. He felt like a man who'd finally done something right. 3 months later, Damian returned to that store every Tuesday. Sometimes he saw Valerie and her mom. They hugged, talked, healed together. Valerie's bracelet hung from his motorcycle handlebars, swaying in the wind like a prayer. He began teaching safety workshops at community centers, demonstrating the signal for help to hundreds. Other bikers joined his movement, angels on alert. His past didn't vanish, but it no longer defined him. At a stoplight one afternoon, the bracelet caught the sunlight glowing pink and white against chrome. Damian smiled faintly, remembering. That day in the grocery store, a little girl's hand signal didn't just call for rescue. It called a broken man back to life. It reminded him that heroism isn't about who you were. It's about who you choose to be when someone needs you most. He revved the engine and rode into the distance. That day didn't just save Valerie Hill's life. It saved Damian Brown's too.